God bless America.
Because the press have been under attack for a long time, and I'm not just sick of it. I object to it. I think it's both offensive and stupid to attack the press in that way. Often the press are attacked by politicians. Like fake news is this word, which is really just a term, just a way to attack the media and stop them being trusted. But also, in some cases, the media have done a very good job of really requesting people to stop trusting them by becoming so polarized themselves. So they will be trusted by their audience who want to hear their form of bias, but they won't be trusted by the other audiences. And so what you get then is just a generalized feeling of distrust. Politicians are saying don't trust them. The media are in effect saying you trust us, but we don't care about, so you don't have to trust us. And and all of this is in the context of this new arrival into our lives, which is social media, and the way public discourse occurs on social media. Which we don't really understand. It's been too fast as an arrival for us to really process it. But if you just step one step sideways and have a look at it, it's perfectly obvious how problematic it is. You don't need to be Einstein to figure it out. So all of these things together, massive distrust in the media. We need the press to hold corrupt politicians to account. And I was just like, I'm done with this. I want to put these people as heroes. A lot of the casting was really easy because many of these cast I've worked with before. Like a lot of them I've worked with before. The two new arrivals, I mean, there's a few people I hadn't worked with before, but really, there's an actor, Sonoya Mizuno. She's worked on every single thing I've directed. Kaylee Spaney, Stephen McKinley Henderson, we worked together on a show called Devs. Carl Glusman, Jin Ha. These are all people I've worked with and know quite well, Nick Offerman. Kirsten and Wagner are the two main new arrivals, and honestly, that's just like any other bit of casting. You ask yourself very basic questions like, who's a good actor for this? They need to be a certain age. Are they soulful? Are they glamorous? Like, what do they contain? And one of the funny things about this part of a director's job, people often get asked, like, why did you cast this person? Is that it's the area of directing that in some ways involves the least expertise, because everybody is an expert on actors, everybody. We read human beings the whole time. There are some actors that everybody agrees is a good actor. There's an American actor who's dead now, Philip Seymour Hoffman. I don't think I have ever once in my life heard anybody say he was a bad actor. Everybody knows it's, we're using the same criteria to judge. So in the end, it's not very mysterious. Sometimes there are other forces. It's a studio film. It costs a certain amount of money. They need an insurance policy. The insurance policy is a famous actor. Okay, so then there's different conversations being had, but we didn't have that on this film.
Well, I had worked with Alex before on the show Devs, and when I got that role, it was so far away from who I was, and I felt like he put so much trust and he really stepped out on a limb to give me a character that I really, it was just so fun, unlike anything else I'd been offered before. And then getting this script, and he's a writer at heart, and his scripts are so beautifully written, and to work with someone who had already worked before previously, and him having trust in me and me having trust in him, and having that collaborative relationship and that rapport, it was just a treat.
And I read the script and was gripped by the script, and the idea of working with Alex was something that I'd always been a fan of his and his screenplays. So when the opportunity came along, I, just hoped that he wanted me for Lee.
I had met Alex. We had lunch once when he was casting Devs, and that didn't work out. But I was very happy when he reached out to me again for Civil War. And like Kirsten, I read the script and I was like, this is great. This is great. This is great writing. This is timely. This is a political film. This is sort of the thing that I love. This is perfect. And then I had this Zoom call with him that went really well. And he was very honest. Like he said, I want you for this part. I'm not going to talk to anybody else. It doesn't depend on me, but so I was turned off the computer and was like, very, very excited.
I had to wait.
But I waited for like, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
A while, I feel like.
But I waited. It was like a painful wait.
Mine was painful too.
I came up with it about 4 years ago, just as a product of being concerned about the world and feeling worried about some things. Then the process is always the same with me. I write a first draft very quickly. This was probably like a week and a half, something like that. So knock it out. Then and then goes about the process of trying to get it made. I write first drafts quickly because very often it doesn't work out. So I don't want to spend 6 months or 8 months or a year working on it because it can all be wasted time. And actually in this case, the shooting script and the first draft are almost exactly the same. There's virtually nothing has changed really. So from that point on, it was really just logistical. Who do you cast? Who's the crew? Where do we shoot it? We couldn't shoot it for 2 years because of COVID. And it was practical issues. The thing just was written in very quickly and then it just stays there.
It was such a joy getting to take time out of my day to just research photojournalists or, journalism in general. And, I had so much respect, but had a newfound respect after coming out of the prep and researching people like Don McCullin and Lee Miller, who we mentioned in this film, Lindsay Addario, and then the Mary Colvin documentary that we all watched together was incredibly informative about the sort of personal relationships between them and the conversations and challenges they face.
I'm just trying to think. Oh, okay. Well, so I got the role, and then I immediately asked Alex, to give me the camera that Lee uses, and I just started taking photographs, and did not. If I was awake, I had that camera on me, So that gave me the most anxiety, is not looking like this was part of my body. And then I did my own kind of self-research between me and the character I was playing, Lee, and then really watched things with Wagner and Kaylee, the Mary Colvin documentary, and Come and See, which was a Russian film we all watched together as well.
I read lots of books about war journalism, and I reached out to some war journalists and spoke with them in order to know. I wanted to know what was the feeling of being in a war zone. How could they tell me if it's even possible what they felt when they were there? So That's what I did. And yeah, in the films that we watched together, there was those, especially Come and See was a very strong experience. But we watched Under the Wire,
Yeah.
together, right? And that was a very interesting experience because
Very.
it moved like us. And I remember kissing was very moved. At some point, we had to pause the movie and.
Well, I had just had a son not that long
Yeah.
ago, and seeing, you know,
Images of-
there's
yeah.
really horrible images with a child, and it's just, I mean,
To
you
do
see
that
them
together
right now.
was interesting.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't call that rehearsals, right? But we read the
More just
script
having
and we
conversations
talked
and-
about it. That was very
Yeah.
good too. I thought we were asking questions and
Got to know each
it was
other.
very get to know each other. Yeah.
You don't know what side they're fighting for. Someone's trying to kill us. We are trying to kill them.
It's largely shot on location. The most, in a way, the most impressive place to shoot in a kind of, you walk onto the place and you go, wow, was these huge high wall barricades outside the White House. That was a really amazing piece of construction, and they were so big that when you drove a tank through them, the tank looked small, and tanks are pretty big. So that was, in sort of movie terms, like if I was going to bring my mum to set and say, hey, look at this, like that's what I'd show her. Often the places where you shoot, where you get the most sort of pleasure, though, can be quite subtle, small. There's a scene where the two women are talking in a boathouse, and there was one angle where the light on the water is dancing behind them in a really strange way, and the lens that we're using is treating the out of focus objects in a really strange way. And actually that was kind of cool. So, and that's just like that's not a set, it's just a location, it's just a bit of water with a boathouse, and but the light and the water and the camera and it just, anyway.
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Ready and go!
I also saw Narcos back then as a very political thing. You know, it was the history of Colombia is divided in after and before Pablo Escobar. And not only Colombia, it was the whole Latin America. Well, the greatest thing was just to make the story short for me, like to play Pablo was like to feel that because Brazil is such an isolated country in South America because we speak Portuguese, right? So being there in Colombia, living there and working with actors from Argentina, Mexico, Venezuela, everywhere, and talking about the drug trade, which is something that really impacts the countries that produce drug, which is basically, you know, South America. That's where the war on drugs is taking place. Like that's where kids from poor neighborhoods are dying. So that made me a very, very strong opinion about the so-called war on drugs, you know, and how wrong I think it is. And it made me feel that I was something bigger than just being Brazilian. You know, I was a South American dude. That was in terms of, how to say this, the word, belong, to belong to something. So, and in the Civil War, I'm attracted to this kind of like the only film that I directed is a very political film about the ones who fought the dictatorship back in. These things matters to me, you know. I like to talk about things that, like Scaly said, that characters that you said it's corny. It's not. I think that we learn a lot with the characters that we, and I search for that. I want to learn things. I want to become a better person.
Yeah.
Through the things that I do, a better citizen. I want to understand things. So Civil War is it's amazing. Like we are discussing here about polarization and reaching out to people that we think that thinks differently, and it's timely, it's strong.
The most striking one was the final day we were filming, because we were shooting some combat inside the White House leading up to the final moment. So I shoot in sequence, wherever possible. So the first day of filming is the first scene and the last day of filming is the last scene. And I do that for lots of reasons, but it helps people stay in the world. Quite often films shoot the final scene like 3 days into photography, and I think there's so much you don't know about, but maybe that's a product of working in a loose, instinctive way, is you need to know what your instincts are in order to shoot instinctively, you know? That last day was kind of remarkable. We had some amazing people working together. Everybody was on their A game. It was super focused, ultra professional, very difficult, but we achieved everything we needed to do. So for me, that was like a perfect shooting day. The most challenging ones were always not the big set pieces, but it's like you're shooting in a petrol station, the sun is moving really fast across the sky, and people keep bringing their cars into the petrol station to try and fill up gas. And that's challenging. That's really challenging. It's not because you've got a helicopter and a tank and an explosion, it's because somebody wants to refuel their car in the middle of a shot. That's challenging.